You've came here to learn a few tips and tricks and a little bit of the insides. And if it's still relevant in 2020, that is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, you've came to the right place. I'll see you in just a second. Now about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, that is the original. There is a 4 and a 6K version, so make sure you keep those straight. It was originally released back in 2012, and this thing was revolutionary at the time. It would record in several formats. The two most popular was the Cinema Raw, which most of you guys may know about that. If you don't, that's one of the highest qualities that you can record in. And your movies that you watch on TV, most of those use that. There is also ProRes, which is a very popular format. And this camera goes for about 500 bucks right now, used, because it is discontinued. Is it still relevant in 2020? That's one of the biggest questions I do hear, and I believe it is. I'm actually using one right now. The picture quality that you're seeing here is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. Now the audio that I normally do, I don't use on the Blackmagic. I don't use audio on any camera normally, especially if I'm using it for more of a professional use. For just a moment to give you a example of the audio, the lower quality, because it is lower quality, it is one of the cons of this camera. I'll go ahead and let you hear that audio quality on the camera right now. And testing audio quality, 1, 2, 3 on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. Alright, now that you're back, I did want to go through a few of the specs on here. It does record in 24 or 30 frames for the most part. There is like 2398, 24, 25, 2997, and 30, but 24 and 30, 24 is your film. Normally 30 is more of your video look. The crop factor of this camera, now stock, it comes as 2.88. You can get a speed booster option, which I will get into that later. I did want to get into a few of the features of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. And again, I am using this, so you are getting a first-hand quality look at it. And one of the best features about this camera isn't a stock feature, in my opinion at least. You can use what's called a speed booster. If you're not familiar with those, you can always look up videos on those. I may do something on speed boosters later, but a speed booster basically, it's an extra glass that you add to it. You can pay, for a Viltrox, it's 150 bucks, I believe. You can pay all the way up to about 650 for a electronic version of a Metabones. So you can check those out. There's several features. If you want the electronics that work in lenses, you will need to get the electronic one. And I do believe both Viltrox and Metabones make those. You'll have to check those. You can check eBay, or you can check Amazon or your favorite place to shop. Another one of the features that I wanted to point out is the HDMI. Now it is a mini HDMI, so you need to make sure that you get the right adapter for that. It's not a full-sized HDMI port. Another feature of that would be the 13 stops of dynamic range. That has a lot to do with your cinematography and how much color correction and a lot of the editing and the quality in post. Okay, a few of my opinions and my own personal experiences with this camera. I would suggest it be used on maybe documentaries, short films, music videos, maybe some interviews. maybe even some commercials. Now the thing you have to be careful with, and I've already mentioned, is the frames per second. You got 24 and 30 for the most part. That's what you have. You have the film and you have 30 on video. You don't get 60. So some of your slow motion and the really vibrant video look is probably not going to be achieved with this camera. So make sure you do take that away from it. Keep in mind that you will get a good film look from this camera. You won't get a great video look, but it is perfect for filming. It is an older camera, so you do have those cons. It's a little bit older technology. The internals may get a little bit dirty. You may have to use some sort of cleaning on the card slot. That's a problem that I've had with it. I actually had, and I'll show you here, I actually had to make up my own card slot cleaner on the fly. Now all I did was take a credit card and I cut it down to the width of your actual SD card. So you cut it out there, and I took, and I'll show you here, I took a piece of the soft side of Velcro and attached it to the end here. And I needed to do that in an emergency situation. Now you can get card slot cleaners. They use them for terminals and credit card machines and things like that. Look online, I think you can get those for maybe $10. All right, let's look at a few of the pros and cons here. I would say the pros is that it's very relevant right now. It is a good camera to use. It does really good quality. It does a great film look. You got the 2398 or the 24. It's even got a 25, which is a little odd for me because I don't really use that. 30 if you just need a clean video look. It doesn't have 60, so keep that in mind. It can use a variety of cheaper lenses, especially if you get a speed booster. And to elaborate on the speed boosters, you can get the electrical or you can get the mechanical. Now mechanical, you can get a Viltrox for about 150 bucks. And keep in mind that if you do get the mechanical, that you're not going to get the electrical functions of a lens if that lens comes with image stabilization or other auto features. So make sure you keep that in mind when you do pick up your speed booster if you do get that for it. Now, some of the cons would be low light performance. I don't think the camera works really good in low light. I think it could be a lot better. You do need to be lit up pretty well. You got a histogram, which is a really nice feature on this camera. So make sure you do pay attention to that. Some of the other cons would be the audio. The audio is not great on that camera, as I've already kind of mentioned. And there's no known way, at least that I know of, I haven't checked in a long while, but I don't think you can sync this. So you do need to use the old clapper board. I don't know of a way of actually syncing this with a audio device. That way you can match up your audio automatically. And also to add in one of the cons, it is an older camera. These came out in 2012. The main problem that I've had was the dirty contacts. I think the worst con of this camera is definitely battery usage. These things are horrible. I don't even use a stock battery. There is a juice box. They're very expensive. I was actually very fortunate to find a 12 volt, I believe it's a 9800 milliamp hours. I found a 12 volt 9800 milliamp hour with a barrel connector, and I reduced that down to a micro barrel with an adapter, and I use a battery pack that's about this large. They are blue. You can find those on eBay. I think they're like $21. So that was a really good choice. This camera will last forever on that. Stock batteries, they just don't last long enough. To sum it up for a Blackmagic Cinema camera, they are very inexpensive. They're going for $500 used right now. And that will get you to a good film look and a good quality picture. They do have good compatibility. If you do get the speed booster, you're open to a whole new library of lenses. If you get the lower priced one, you're paying $150. You're changing the crop factor. You are, I believe the math is 2.88 is your stock, and it changes it to a 1.67. So you do that math of 1.67 times your full frame lens, and that would be your final outcome. So it's not a full frame, but it's really, really close. It's really nice, especially for the price point. 13 stops of dynamic range. I believe the speed booster actually adds an extra stop for you. It improves your aperture. It opens you up to lenses you can do almost anything with. And I do think it's fair to say that the features on this camera and everything that it comes with, from the histogram all the way to the exceptional quality, the many features, the focusing, everything that this thing adds, I think is fair to say that it's a really, really good value. Keep in mind it is a camera body that you are buying. Now, before I do wrap up completely, I did want to ask if you could like the video, if you liked anything about it, you learned something. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out. It gives us some support to make sure we keep going and bring you more. Okay, I did want to add in the feature that is the DaVinci Resolve program that Blackmagic does make. All the modes are completely compatible. You can do color grading, give yourself that beautiful cinema look that most everybody's looking for. The lenses with this, with the f-stop and with the aperture, you can get that blurred background effect. That way you can turn your audience's focus onto what you want at the time. It's a really important feature. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel if you've learned anything at all. If you have any questions, make sure you put them down in the comments. I'll make sure I get to that. And until the next video, see ya.